It's the Morning Cryptos. It is day 5 of my new 90-day challenge, and it is January 5th as well. What a weird coincidence. And today I have not looked at any of the charts. I have not looked at the news. I haven't done anything other than make my coffee. It's bitter, bitter cold here in upstate New York. It's 0 degrees with like 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts. It's nasty out there. So hopefully hopefully my power holds. Oh boy, it's exciting. Anyway, let's start the music and check out what's going on. All right, so woo. Well, yesterday I tortured you with my attempts to play with moving averages and RSI, relative strength index, and Bollinger Bands. And so I've been attempting to add them to my regular perceptions of things and not depend on them because I don't know them that well. So my big thing here, and I don't want to caution everyone who's watching this, that I am not a seasoned trader. I've just done a lot of dumb shit in my life. I failed a lot, and I've learned a lot, and I'm 57 frickin' years old, and I decided last year around this time, last January, that I was going to finally, I needed to figure out the money thing, because all my life I had been self-employed and relatively free and successful in the fact that I didn't punch a time card, right? But I never had any reserves. I never was successful enough at anything to really do the things that it seemed like everybody else seemed to be able to do. And so last year at this time, I really worked on clearing some of my limiting beliefs about money, some of the hypnosis from my childhood, my well-meaning parents, teachers, and one of the key pieces fell into place not too long ago when I realized that I am the happiest as a massive introvert when I am reading and learning and spending large chunks of time on my own. And learning about the cryptos fell perfectly into my personality profile. And all the other things I did, including trying to get my music out in the world, I always had this little problem of other people. And I love people. I don't know if I'm an energy sensitive or what the deal is, or if I'm somewhere on the Asperger's spectrum, or I don't know what it is, but I just need huge amounts of time alone. And this week has been wonderful because it's been so bitter cold and it snowed, and I've just been doing my thing here and reading and watching documentaries and listening to other YouTubers and just learning and trying different things and putting it into practice. And that to me is better than vacation. And it's like, oh, I have to go on vacation now? Oh, I have to stop doing the stuff I love to do. So that's really what I'm doing here. I am just in hog heaven learning something new that is so huge, that is so vast, that the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know shit. And I love that feeling. I don't know about you, but every day is different. And so today we're going to look at the numbers, the charts, the maps, the news. We'll see what's going on. But I'm going to take a slug of coffee first, and then we'll get started. So thanks for hanging with me so far. And if for some bizarre reason you actually are interested in what I have to say, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and do all that kind of stuff. And if you're not interested in what I have to say, well, that's okay too. It's a free internet. I like that. Let's keep it free. All right. So just looking at Bitcoin here, and I'm not going to say anything about it because I need to go and hit refresh over here. And we are, according to Google at 15,854, which is higher than it's been for a little while, a couple weeks or a week or so. Let's see what they have to say here. CoinDesk news from 21 hours ago, still there. Ethereum tops 1,000, okay. Off the leash. Bitcoin looks north after breaking 16,000. All right, so maybe Bitcoin going to start to rise again. I don't know. There's no FUD here that I see. Nothing, North Korea doesn't seem to have dropped its atomic weapon. So we're still alive. We're still here. Good. And I don't watch the regular news, so I don't know anything that's going on until I watch the Stephen Colbert late night show. So, all right, Bitcoin. What I see, let's get rid of all of these indicators that I'm learning how to use. And here's what I see. As a musician, right? As someone who has been obsessed with this and watching these markets since July 31st is when I really started becoming obsessed. I started changing my limiting beliefs about money a year ago, but it was only about a half a year ago that I really committed to just going deep into this. And so here's what I see when I look at this. And you can interpret it how you want, okay? And I've had people say, no, Mark, you have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, okay. But when I look at it, here's what I see, okay? I see a double top. Okay, and I'll move this line in just a minute to make it a little bit straighterizer. I see a double top, okay? It has tried to go through this top twice, and both times it didn't quite make it, right? I see rising bottoms. Right? The other thing I see is I see support. I see support down here, right? It touched a little bit lower, but basically it kind of hung around at the 12,000 range, and it's been between 12,000 and 15,000 and change, something like that, for the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 days. It's been 15 days since we had that big drop before Christmas. In fact, this day here is the 22nd, this big one here of December. So, over this period of time, Bitcoin has lost its dominance. More and more money has poured into the altcoins. And that's interesting. Now, let's slap some of this other crap on here. And let's look at these moving averages, since Bitcoin has enough of a history. We have a 50-day, a 100-day, and a 200-day moving average. And let me get rid of my line here. Right here, Bitcoin has come down to its 50-day moving average. So that's actually not bad news. It's not like it crashed down here to its 200-day. And if we look back at the history, here it came down to the 50-day. The only place it came below the 50-day was back here in September with the Chinese FUD and Jamie Dimon flapping his big fat lips. I love the poor guy. He's probably a good man. I don't know anything about him, but we needed an enemy. Sometimes you need an enemy, So Jamie Dimon was really the last time it came down to the 100-day average. So Bitcoin really hasn't made that much of a retracement. And that's, I think, what scares me a little bit. Because back in July, before the Bitcoin Cash and the SegWit forks, the Bitcoin Cash fork and the SegWit, implementation or installation or beginning or whatever they called it, we came below, just a little bit below the 100-day moving average on the 1-day chart. Okay, so when you look at that, you go, okay, this is really not that big a pullback. It was really way up there. Now let's add this, and again, people, if this is old hat to you, please be patient, because I'm just learning this shit. And if I'm totally off, leave a comment below and set me straight, because I'm learning right here in front of you, and I feel so vulnerable. I feel vulnerable. I feel vulnerable. I feel a little shame for all the years that I was clueless. And what's great as being a math phobic, or someone who has just not really been doing math very well over his lifetime, all these things are done for us. I don't have to put all these calculations together, which is cool. So, okay, so there's RSI, relative strength indicator. According to what I've been learning, when it comes down, like here in September, it came down to this 30 line, and touched it. And it has not been really near that line since, but it's been above the 70. So this indicates overbought, according to my sources. And when it goes down, it indicates oversold. And we are not oversold here with Bitcoin. So does that mean it could go down farther? Probably, maybe. I don't know. Right? I don't know the answer to that. However, I don't feel confident. I don't know. There's something about Bitcoin that it's so expensive at this point. It's so up there. And, when I started, it was $900. And so there's something about it being so high. And I feel this way about all the coins when they get up into these they start really mooning. I feel a little uncomfortable. So anyway, that's Bitcoin. Looking at it, don't know what to tell you, don't know what to do about it, don't know what to say other than as soon as I got back up into this range, I got rid of it. And I was like, I don't want to have anything to do with it. It's just too high. I will use it when I have to on an exchange, and then I'm looking to get out of it. And I'd rather go into US dollar tether than into Bitcoin at this point. So that's where I am at in my trading thing. So let me see if I can get a few more of these in, and I'll try not to over-explain stuff. Bitcoin Cash. Let me go back to Bitcoin just real quick, because I wanted to go to a 1 hour chart and see if I could demonstrate my ignorance a little bit more enthusiastically over here. Okay, so on Bitcoin's 1 hour chart, the 50 hour, yesterday I kept calling it the 50 day, and I meant the 50 hour has crossed over the 200 hour, and it has crossed over the 100 hour. And evidently that means it's going to boost. Oh, and look, it boosted. That's kind of cool. Is that usable in the future? Possibly. And again, all of these have to be taken with a grain of salt. Let's look at this thing down here. And boom, all of a sudden we're over the 70 already. So now we're again in overbought land, supposedly, according to this indicator. And I don't know if that's true or not, but Bitcoin has been up here a lot. And on the 1 hour chart, it has hit down to the 30, back on the 30th of December and back on the 30th of December. So okay, it's back up again. But the question is, does it really want to move again, or is it just going to kind of go up a little bit and futz around, right? And that is your guess as well as mine. But again, one of the things I look for on the 1 hour charts is double and triple tops and rising bottoms. And I don't know if that's any great indicator, but just observing and watching and watching and watching and watching, when I see something try to hit and get above and it doesn't, it comes back down, quite often it's building up some energy and some momentum. And here it tried it and it failed, and it fell back down to the 200 hour line, which was also ironically at the 100 hour line where they cross. Interesting. Learning. And then boom, 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 boom. It started getting up some momentum, and then it had a boost. But the boost could only go so far before it paused. So maybe it's going to kind of go up a little bit more gradually this time instead of, mooning. Who knows? But let's put one other indicator on here. Let's shrink down this RSI thing, and let's put on this Bollinger Bands, because I like saying Bollinger Bands. And let's just get my line out of the way here. This is a widening. This is not a squeezing. You could call this a little squeezing, but evidently these Bollinger Bands, one of the best uses of them is when they get squeezy down tight like this one. And you think of this as an intestine. And when something squeezes down on the intestine, it wants to expand. I knew I could make this interesting, at least to myself. I love abusing myself. So, I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Is it going to go up? I don't know. Is it going to go down? I don't know. Is it going to go sideways? My bet right now is it seems to be strong enough, and there still seems to be interest in it, and it feels like we're ready for a shift. Now that the alts have kind of popped for a couple of days, it feels like we're ready for a shift, and maybe Bitcoin will pop for a couple of days. We'll see. I don't know. All right, so I'm going to get rid of this stuff, and I'm going to go to Bitcoin Cash, and let's look at Bitcoin Cash on the one-day chart. Bitcoin Cash had a big moon here, and notice the last time I had this big crazy up, 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 then it consolidated and went sideways for a while. They had a big moon, and now it's consolidating and going sideways. So I think, particularly if the other alts kind of lose some steam, Bitcoin Cash is getting ready for another boost. Why do I think that? I think it just because Bitcoin is just so unusable, and I think Bitcoin Cash is usable, at least in the present format, and it's on Coinbase. Coinbase has adopted it, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to take some of my profits, because I want to talk about this in a little bit, to begin to have a disciplined removal of some of my profits into a position where I could liquidate if I needed to. So I am going to start moving in any profits into Bitcoin Cash, not into Bitcoin, into Bitcoin Cash or Litecoin, and moving them over to Coinbase and keeping kind of a fund there, so that if I see something that I just know is a good buy, I have kind of a savings account. I'm going to use Coinbase to be my savings account, but also if it's at Coinbase, then I can convert it back into fiat if I need to and send it to my US dollar wallet and then to my bank account. And I want to be able to do that because I'm thinking seriously about quitting my day job, one of my day jobs, so that I can just focus on this and on music. And I'm going to stop seeing clients, and I'm just going to focus on this and music and see where it goes, because that's what I really, 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 really want. And I want you guys also to ask yourselves, what is it that I really, 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 really want? Not what you think you want, but what you really, 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 really want. And for me, all of this is about raising capital for my music so that I can also support myself, because music is one of those industries that has been totally disrupted by the internet, and that's a good thing. But as a massive introvert, I've discovered that getting people to come out to my gigs is not the best use of my time, because I'm just not good at that. However, if I have enough money, I can hire a PR agency, right? I can hire an ad agency or a marketing group to really begin to promote my music. So that's my big plan. And Bitcoin Cash is falling nicely into my strategy. I like it because it has more volume than a lot of things, and it has a lot of publicity, and it has a lot of it has some use cases, and I think it might be adopted. It's being it's being pumped by some pretty big people who I think went on vacation, and now I think they're going to come back and they're going to go, yeah, we need to pump Bitcoin Cash some more. So that's my story. And on the 1 hour chart, this is what I'm looking at. And hopefully you have a minute, because I'm being a little long-winded here. I see it going back and forth in a trading range, which I have nicely framed with my big yellow lines. And at the moment, it's kind of down at the bottom of that trading range, and I bought some down here, I think just yesterday. Unfortunately, I also have some up at 3,400, but you know what? That's tuition. I learned not to chase a rising market, and that was my bad. But in the meantime, I figured I'm going to learn about this particular market. And you see, this is like a tuning fork, and I've used this analogy before, but you strike it, and that's the big boost, and then it comes down, and then it doesn't go back up, then it comes down, then it doesn't go quite back up as high, then it comes down, then it doesn't quite go back up as high, then it comes back down, and then it just kind of, the little reverberations begin, right? So now I see it tightening down, and my money is that this is going to pop. And the last couple of times Bitcoin Cash popped, I wasn't really in a position to take advantage of it. But look at down here. Similar thing. You could literally almost the same exact pattern, but much smaller. So we literally have the same kind of little wedgie thing. A wedgie thing. All right. But this one's bigger. Right? It's just way freaking bigger. It's huge, but it's still a wedgie thing. So, all that being said, let's look at the other crap. Let's look at these moving averages. And here's interesting. The 20-hour, keep trying to not say day, the 20-hour crossed the 100-hour and crossed the 200-hour, but it couldn't quite get it going. It crossed back under the 100-hour, right? So it tried, but it couldn't quite pull it off. And then, but down here, it did touch down on this oversold area down here just yesterday. So I saw this yesterday. I'm like, oh, it's touched down on this 30, but it's hardly down at all. I mean, it hasn't crashed, but it's down on the 30. That might be an indicator that it's oversold and that a lot of people have given up on it. Maybe it's time, right? So this is my big guess. This is my big practice. We'll see if I'm right or wrong. And let's, I have the volume turned off. So the volume, we actually have, what do we have here? Other than my line being in the way. It looks like we have some buying volume, okay, and not that much selling volume, and then a tiny little bit of buying volume. I don't know. It looks like it's one of those situations that I kind of like where everybody else is looking at other stuff. Everybody else is watching Cardano or Ripple, and meanwhile, there's a good buy here. That's what I'm thinking, okay? Now, people, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm an idiot, okay? If you agree with me, you do what you want to do. If you disagree with me, feel free to tell me why you disagree with me, because I want to learn. Don't just say I'm an idiot. Give me a reason, all right? If you agree with me that it's time for this thing to pop, tell me why you think it's time for this to pop. I don't know. I just think it is. And to me, that's what I'm constantly looking for, is places where it's quiet. And I did really well on this with Verge the other day. I got in and I got out. I saw that it was down and there was some FUD. And I was like, this is a good project, but it's down. I'm going to grab some, and then whatever it boosts, I'm going to get right out and see how that works. So I was practicing that. All right. So anyway, that's Bitcoin Cash. And there's a lot of these that I'm looking at. And Bitcoin Gold, I'm also looking at. Let me get to a one-day chart so we can start off intelligently. And Bitcoin Gold, I've been saying this for a while, is in a really sweet. This is like my favorite pattern of all time. We have triple tops on the 1-day chart, and it has just kept coming down to this line of support. It's just been nailing this line of support. Let's look at let's get rid of the volume for a little bit here. Let's look at this RSI thing. Has not, on the 1 day, has not come down to the 30. Okay, interesting. So it's holding. It's just in a holding pattern. The value hasn't crashed. The value is still there. And even on the worst day, it only came down to this line, and it's just hugging this line. And maybe it's because people are losing interest in it, and maybe it's just a dumb project, and maybe I'm an idiot for buying some. I don't know. And the moving averages don't really work because we don't have that much data. But let's look at the Bollinger Bands, and let's get rid of the moving averages, which aren't there anyway. Not too much of a squeeze, so there may be a little more time left for this. I'm willing to be patient. I like it sometimes when I have time to buy down here. And then just it holds its price, it holds its price, it holds the price, and I'm just in position. I'm in position for when it pops, boom, and then I sell and get the hell out, right? So, and then I look for someplace else. So that's my whole big strategy. And let's go to the 1 day. I'll be the 1 hour. And oh, no one told me it boosted. Look, it's boosted. So that's good. I'm actually in a little bit of profit, but I'm not going to take it yet. All right, so let's see what's going on in the 1 hour. Let me get rid of the Bollinger Bands so I can say it a few more times. And let's look at these moving averagey things. All right. Okay, and I'm going to squeeze this down, the RSI, for just a minute. We'll get back to that. So, I don't know if you can see this, but the 20... No, sorry, did I say 20? I meant 50. Jesus. It's the numbers that don't stick in my head. I don't know why. It's Teflon in there. So the 50 hour has crossed the 100 hour and has also crossed the 200, but it couldn't get it done, and it swooped back down. But I would be willing to bet that it's going to swoop back up if this price boost holds. There's a price boost. Look at that, people. Right? Now, if I'd gotten up earlier, I might have been able to take my profits right here. Boom. I've been pretty good at that, watching it go really high and getting out before it pulls back. But that's just my obsessive compulsive watching the markets all day. And we have resistance up here, kind of right where it is right now. We have some resistance that it did pop through. So if it can get some more momentum going, could be interesting. Let's look at the RSI. And we did have the touchdown to this 30 line. And now it's boosting up towards the 70. So that's pretty interesting. And the question is, will it build from here, or will it just poof out and come right back down to support? I don't know. Let me go to a little longer chart. How about a 12-hour? On the 12-hour, we're still down in this area, but I think we have a lot of room to move. If we get up anywhere near here, and I'll probably take profits at 380. If it gets up that high, I won't wait till it tests this, because it's going to test this, and I may take half of it out. And if it breaks through the 420, if it really decisively moves past 400, that will be interesting. But the deal is just hanging on, and it may not go for a while. This may be just part of its sideways tightening range as it tightens down before it moves. So that's my in-depth coverage. All right, the rest of it, people, I got to keep these a little shorter. So the rest of it, the only thing I'm really curious about is to go over to Bittrex and look at Cardano. I took profits. I took 3 different batches of profits here. I had a lot of Cardano. I had like 9,000 of them. And I took 1,000 of them in profit. Had $1.05. I don't know where it is on this chart. And then another chunk of it at $1, I don't know, 15, and then another little chunk at $1.27. And then I'm like, okay, the rest I'm going to hodl, and we'll see what happens. And so it has boosted, and it has come back. And that is so normal, people. This boosting and coming back thing, it's like breathing. And the idea in the human mind that somehow something's going to just keep going up is a false bias, you know? And it's just like, you just have to realize, okay, stuff goes up, stuff comes down. Winter is cold, summer is warm. You know, it's like some days it's rainy, some days it's sunny. You just don't have the same thing every single day. And if it did, it would be horrible, because that would be state planning. This is a free market, and people have the freedom to have different opinions. And the professionals know that when shit goes up, time to take your profits and let all the newbies be holding the bag. So we don't have enough data on the one-day chart for moving averages, so let's turn them off even though they're not showing. And Cardano, let's look at this RSI thing. Way up in the overbought. Way up, okay? So that's interesting. That seems to be helpful, that little indicator. Let's now look at the Bollinger Bands. So I can say Bollinger Bands. And it's up. It was up above the top line of the Bollinger Bands, which I think is I don't know what it is. If it's a 20-day moving average or what. I don't remember what the different numbers were. So way up, right? And Cardano's a great project, but it went up a lot faster than is really justified. And that's the emotion in the market. That's the energy in the market. And so that's my new practice is I take some profits. I don't take all of them on a project like Cardano, but I take some damn profits so that when it comes back, I feel like, you know what? Locked in some profits. So now I can use that capital someplace else to find something else that's low that people are not paying attention to. But I just wanted to point out on the Bollinger Bands here, on the one-day chart, see how tight it squeezed before it really popped? That seems to be a good use of this indicator, this Bollinger Band thing. And look at how wide they are now. Not a good time to buy. But again, chances are it's going to come back down, it's going to tighten up again, and then people are going to be turning their attention elsewhere until some more news comes out, and then Cardano's going to move again. I think Cardano is eventually going to be a $100 project. So if it comes way back down, I'll buy it back, right? That's the idea. And that's why I'm building a little bit of a war chest so that when some of the projects that I really believe in have their natural, coming back downses and tightening upses, boom, I'm in. Let's look at the 1 hour chart here on Cardano. And let's look at the Bollinger Bands here on the 1 hour, not the Bollinger Bands. We're looking at the Bollinger Bands. Let's get rid of the Bollinger Bands just so I can say it 4 more times. And then we're down here, and now we're heading back down to oversold area, but we haven't touched it, right? So what I'm gathering from my new data is that Cardano may come back down a little bit more before it does anything else. Because, again, the tuning fork has been struck. It's starting to vibrate. Right? And it's going to begin to tighten down. Unless there's some crazy great news, But the bottom line is it's like, if you can hear the thunder of people's feet as they run from project to project, right? that's what we're doing. We're making money on the people who are just emotional and they're not thinking and they don't have experience and they don't know how to use any of these cool indicators that I've learned how to use. So I'm one of the cool kids. And so that's Cardano. The rest, people, I will leave to you to look through on your own and play with some of this stuff. First, though, let's look at the moving averages on the 1 hour chart here with Cardano, ADA, and we have come down now to support at the 100 hour, right? We blew down through the 50 hour and now we're down on support of the 100 hour. And that's a good sign. That's a good place. It's support. Without those averages, we have support right here. Tuck it down a little bit. We have a little support there. You know? And support turns out to be past resistance. Oh, how interesting. So, I don't know about you, but I learned a lot today. And I had a lot of fun. And thank you guys. I really appreciate it. And really appreciate the opportunity to take myself less seriously and to lighten up about all this stuff. It's about having fun. And yeah. So if you like this, if this was fun for you, give me a thumbs up. Thanks. Please subscribe. Please ring that little bell. And if you like music, you might want to check out my music. A day or so ago, I put up a live program that I did, and it came out pretty well. My friend Mike Covey. And it's all about self-improvement and self-transformation. And I think it might be helpful to you if you are a self-directed introvert, kind of like me. If you're not, that's okay too. You can totally ignore it, and that's fine as well. I think that's it for today. I got a lot more to look at, but I can't make these any longer than they are. I got to keep them a little shorter, and I appreciate you guys so much. And shout out to all of you who have been leaving me comments, and while this is processing, I'll answer any of your comments that I haven't gotten to, and thanks for your patience and stuff like that. Stay warm, and this too shall pass, people. Winter is on its way out. Spring is coming. It's on its way. The days are getting longer. There's hope. Peace, grooviness, over and out. Go ahead and start the music.